What's up, everybody? Welcome to Miami Life. I'm Jim Barry. Today, we are revisiting some of the features that got the most reaction in our first few months online and on the air. Anytime we talk about marijuana, medical or recreational, it generates a buzz, if you'll pardon the pun. Come November, voters across Florida will decide if recreational marijuana use will become legal in the Sunshine State. Potentially, billions of dollars are at stake. Meantime, the medical marijuana business is booming in South Florida. And a couple of months ago, we noticed how Biscayne Boulevard from North Miami all the way up to Aventura has become littered with medical marijuana shops. Here is another look at our visit to that cannabis corridor. From just north of Miami shores to just south of Aventura, Biscayne Boulevard is littered with medical marijuana dispensaries, all with intriguing and enticing names. Ashley Vasquez is a manager at The Flowery. Were you surprised that there were so many dispensaries here on Biscayne Boulevard?
Yeah, honestly, I haven't found an area that has this many so close-knit together. There's about like 10 on this road.
Good for business or bad because it's so competitive?
A little bit of both.
But why so many clustered together? For the answer, we turn to Dr. Hervé Damas. Medical marijuana is a staple of his holistic healthcare practice. He says this glut of dispensaries in one area is due to a City of Miami ordinance that banned dispensaries operating within city limits.
As a result, the dispensary owners found a workaround, which is since we can't open the dispensaries in the cities, we're going to get as close to the City of Miami's borders as possible.
On the outskirts?
On the outskirts, right on the edge.
Notice, man, with these places when I walk up, man, all the windows are smoky. Like you can't see inside. Why not?
They wanted to, quote unquote, prevent, children and people being exposed to activities or business practices that they deem unsightly.
But when Damas walked us into the Move dispensary, we found a very controlled ambiance for the sale of products which include this controlled substance. Why do most people come in? They're looking for what?
So the top 3 complaints: pain, sleep, anxiety.
Once you show proof that a doctor has recommended cannabis as a treatment option, you can go from the waiting room to the buying room with products in different forms and flavors. So what do punch cookies do?
Punch cookies is gonna put you out. It's very sedating. Euphoria, but it'll sedate you.
Back at The Flowery, the vibe is more like being in a mall at a store with eye-catching displays.
Backpack Boys is one of our partner brands, along with everyone else you'll see here on this wall.
Danica Sheen came all the way from Parkland to see what the Biscayne Boulevard dispensaries had to offer.
I have scoliosis. I never smoked in high school, but I started here in my 40s.
Gotcha.
So,
and it helps?
It helps, yeah, a lot better than like the pills, opioids, all that. It helps a lot.
Buying and using weed for recreational use is still illegal in Florida. This dispensary customer with a medical marijuana card did make this true confession. And tell me why you use the dispensaries.
I use the dispensaries to get my medical marijuana. Well, I use it recreationally.
Okay. We won't tell nobody.
Okay. You can't trust anything you get off the streets. And plus, if you do that, they're going to probably charge you the same price the dispensary charges you. So there's no reason not to just come here and get the good stuff.
The operators of these Biscayne Boulevard dispensaries are banking on some heavy lobbying so that Florida legalizes marijuana for recreational use. Even this medical marijuana user is on the fence about that.
Sure how I feel about recreational use exactly, because I'm kind of far right politically, so I don't want to sound like a hypocrite. I don't have an opinion at this point.
Do you find that a lot of people, your friends, are conflicted the same way, or do you think people are on one side of the fence or the other?
My friends don't know, but I guess you will now.
I see that coming a little more sooner than later. I know 2024 is everyone here is definitely rooting for it. A lot of people in the industry are really pushing for it. There's a lot of money behind it, so we're hoping for it. And I know even then, that's just going to boom the industry even more. The 10 dispensaries you see on the road here will probably be like 20.
Oh my.
Yeah.
That is certainly an issue that we'll keep an eye on from now until November, when voters have the final say. Well, still ahead on Miami Life, South Florida is hosting a new stage production of The Little Mermaid. And the star of this show has a unique and personal connection to the main character. We'll tell you what it is. Plus, movies like The Birdcage help make Miami a favorite location to shoot films. So, why haven't more flicks been shot here lately? The answer when we come back. Well, a new production of that classic story, The Little Mermaid, is being put on by Area Stage Company in South Miami. Delaney Benson stars in this production. Ironically, Delaney's mom was the voice of Ariel in Disney's original animated movie. This week's Person of Interest tells us what it's like to follow in her mom's vocal footsteps. A brand new staging of Disney's The Little Mermaid is making a big splash at Sunset Place. Based on the classic animated movie, it's an immersive production that brings the audience into the story. Delaney Benson stars as Ariel, the title character.
What's cool about this production is, I might be speaking to Flounder, but I have a million different people to play off of. We're trying to break the fourth wall and invite you into the show.
From walking into the space, from buying the box office ticket to sitting down, the whole thing is tailor-made, almost like a Disney experience from beginning to end. You're kind of guided through this whole thing until you're immersed in the world of the Little Mermaid.
A lead role is always special for an actor, but Benson has a unique connection to Ariel. Her mother, Jodie Benson, is the original voice of Ariel from the 1989 movie. But until this staging, Delaney had never performed in a version of The Little Mermaid. Well, except for that one time in high school.
I sang Part of Your World my sophomore year in high school, and they wheeled me out on a little cart with a tail and seashell bras. And I was like, okay, I had my time, but I think I'm gonna put that to rest.
She says this time, the timing felt right.
But I have a confidence where I am proud of who I am and I'm proud of who I'm bringing to the character, whereas maybe a year or so ago, all the comparison would get to me. I'm glad I said yes to it because it is truly life-changing.
Benson happened to be with her mom when she got the call that she'd landed the role.
We were together, we were in New York, and we were in her hotel room, and yeah, I got the call, and I was like, I think I got the part. And we kind of just laughed, and people are asking me like, how did she respond? And I'm like, we just kind of laughed about it. Literally, she was like, you can do it, and you don't have to do it. There's no pressure.
Area Stage Executive Director Maria Banderadaz says it was obvious during the casting process that Benson was the right choice to play Ariel.
Being the daughter of Jodie Benson, who was the original voice of The Little Mermaid 35 years ago, it was just so serendipitous for us that, this could happen. And she's so excited, and it's a very, I think, touching and, emotional role for her.
The Little Mermaid production comes at a crucial time for Area Stage. The nonprofit conservatory has been called one of the most influential theater groups in South Florida. But like many other local arts organizations, it's facing a major budget crunch after Governor DeSantis vetoed millions in arts funding.
And right now, I don't even know where I'm going to get the money for the rent, or, I have to really reconsider cutting some of the programs I have. For example, we give $100,000 of scholarships a year to people with financial challenges, and I'm going to have to probably cut my scholarship program.
What is it? It's a dingle hopper! A dingle hopper!
The Little Mermaid marks Area Stage's 35th anniversary. Coincidentally, it's also been 35 years since The Little Mermaid debuted in theaters. Speaking of, there are perks that come with being the daughter of a Disney princess. As a kid, Delaney joined her mom for a special shoot at the Little Mermaid ride in the Magic Kingdom. And thanks to the magic of the internet, we can show it to you now.
Did a bonus feature for one of the re-releases of the movie, the first one. And I think we rode that ride maybe 100 times. So now I'm like, I'm good for life, I'm set for life. But it is one of my favorite moments of when someone is their first time at Disney with our family. We all ride in the clamshell together. We squeeze 3 or 4 people, and she'll sing along. And so it's like so amazing to see other people's reactions of like, gosh, it is her voice.
The area stage production of Disney's The Little Mermaid runs through August 4th at the shops at Sunset Place. Well, there was a time when it seemed Hollywood filmmakers loved coming to Miami. So many films, including the Bad Boys franchise, took advantage of our tropical backdrop. But why have the film crews packed up and left? Miami Life asked a Miami movie expert to weigh in.
A lot of filmmakers say that the light in Miami is different.
South Florida has long been a favorite location for filmmakers for many reasons. For decades, Rene Rodriguez was the Miami Herald's film critic. He now teaches film at UM and runs the Bill Cosford Cinema on campus. The first movie he saw where his hometown was featured was the 1977 thriller Black Sunday, in which terrorists crashed the Goodyear blimp into the Orange Bowl Stadium during the Super Bowl.
They shot the footage during the Super Bowl so they could get like the real crowds and the real players, and then they came back and shot the different scenes with the blimp.
1983's Scarface, starring Al Pacino, was supposed to shoot entirely in Miami, but local officials, already worried about Miami's reputation as a crime-ridden city, got cold feet and forced producers to go back to Los Angeles.
That was supposed to shoot entirely in Miami. They had scouted out locations. And then the city of Miami had a black eye, the Time magazine Paradise Lost cover, the crime and stuff. And so the city of Miami became concerned with, oh, there's going to be another movie showing Cuban refugees in a bad light. And so they were able to shoot two scenes here, the Ocean Drive massacre, just the exteriors. The interiors were shot on a stage, but the Ocean Drive massacre and the scene at the Fontainebleau. What was cool about Miami Vice is the way that it presented the city. It presented an image of the city that wasn't necessarily true of what really existed, but was a kind of paradise view. You know, pink flamingos, the go-go boats, the speed boats, like the skyline, and that was shot entirely here using cast and crew from Miami.
Miami Vice was arguably the best tourism campaign the city ever had. It also made Hollywood studios pay attention.
There's already an ecosystem in place for like electricians and gaffers and camera operators who had worked on Miami Vice.
During the 90s, Sylvester Stallone filmed The Specialist here. The comedy hit The Birdcage with Robin Williams was a love letter to South Beach. And There's Something About Mary also took advantage of the Miami backdrop.
There's something about Mary doesn't necessarily use a lot of famous locations, but it really looks like it was shot here, because it was.
Then you have Bad Boys. The Will Smith Set in Miami franchise has filmed parts of all 4 of the franchises here, including the newest one. Will Smith's love affair with the city is well documented, but it was tested in 2003 during the filming of Bad Boys 2.
Bad Boys 2 has that amazing chase scene on the MacArthur Causeway, which you can't, I had never seen anything like it. Of course, it tied up traffic in the city for 5 days, so everyone was out with pitchforks and torches.
It's too long. It's horrible.
In the early 2000s, South Florida was a film and TV hotbed. Best Picture winner Moonlight was also shot here and served as a sort of swan song for Miami's movie heyday. In 2016, the state's film tax credits expired, and when the money went away, so did the films and TV crews.
By 2016, we have Ballers shooting here. We have the Netflix show Bloodline. Those were all shot entirely in Miami. And you had so many movies, music videos, commercials, that it was like this great industry. But the program had a set amount of funds in it. Once those funds ran out, it had to be re-implemented by the Florida state government. And they chose not to.
Rodriguez points out that film and TV productions employ a lot of people who live and spend money here. He hopes the tax credits return. Meantime, he's still bullish on the movie industry. He sees the dismal Memorial Day box office as further proof that audiences want more fresh ideas.
So people are saying, oh no, are people losing interest in the movies? And I would argue no. It's not that they're losing interest in the movies, that what Oppenheimer and Barbie were completely original movies.
Well, still ahead, if walls at the old Davy School could talk, they'd have a bunch of stories to tell. We visit Broward's oldest school building, coming up on Miami Life. Well, the old Davy School once stood as the first school in a part of Broward County that used to be smack dab in the middle of the Everglades. Paying it a visit today is like stepping back in time, and the person who leads tours there makes certain that every guest is entertained and informed.
The way that they built it 106 years ago, it was built to last.
In a part of Broward County that used to be the Everglades, the old Davy School stands tall, a reminder of South Florida's early days. A group of families that moved here from Panama bought the land that would first be known as Zona before becoming Davy in 1914. Providing an education to their children was a priority, and so the school was born.
It was the first permanent school building in the Everglades. And so when it was built in 1918, they had had smaller schools out here before. They held school in the packing houses, they held school in the general store, wherever they could. It was a farming community, so the kids did help with the farm work, and we'll have report cards where we can see the absences that would line up with the harvesting season. So we do know that they did have to go help their families on the farm, but the rest of the time they were here, they were at school.
Each year, the museum hosts about 100 field trips from local schools. Kim Wisemantle is the tour guide who loves to inform and entertain.
Now put your hands up in the area that's called sawgrass, swaying in the breeze.
The visiting children get a taste of what life was like back in the early 20th century. They sit down in a classroom in old-style desks and write with a quill pen.
It was like writing with a pencil.
Okay, was it fun going inside the school building and seeing how the classrooms were, 100 years ago?
Yes.
They even learned the proper technique for milking a cow. They help make butter.
We need something that will move that cream around. So this is one type of chip.
And they learn how to do the laundry by hand.
Good work. All right, my next washer.
You have to grab a thing and you have to put some soap on it. Then you wash it and you have to make a lot of bubbles. Then you dip it in. Then there's like this thing, there's two things, and then you go like that to get all the water out. Then you hang it up.
Wisemantle grew up in Davie and studied history in college, but it wasn't until she graduated that she learned about the landmark school in her hometown. Now she spends her days teaching history.
It's the keyhole entrance here and then the three windows up top that really kind of give it that definition.
She loves the field trips because the kids keep her on her toes with questions.
Your museum hands, they have very special jobs. What that means is when we are in the exhibit, your museum hands stay to yourself. Because we're a museum, we're trusted to take care of things from a very long time ago. Every day is different, every tour is different, because the kids come in with the same fascination, but 1,000 different directions of questions.
She's also full of fun facts, like how the school was the first building in the area with indoor plumbing.
But then yes, indoor plumbing was the highest stuff around. It ran off of a cistern in the back and a small generator pump. It was the high-tech building for the time. It was designed by August Geiger, who the architect, he also designed the Dade County Courthouse downtown and the Fort Lauderdale Women's Club. So when the school was built, they didn't have electricity this far west yet, but they knew it was coming too. So they built it so that electricity could be installed.
Also in those early years, the school did not have a cafeteria. Lunch was whatever was donated, which made for some interesting specials on the menu.
So if a particular family went hunting and they went hog hunting, they would have hog soup as their school lunch here.
And yes, kids, that is a real 14-foot alligator on display.
We have a 14-foot alligator. He was a real alligator.
The school is over a century old, so it's had some work done, but many original features remain, which the all-volunteer staff work hard to maintain.
The floors here are the original wood floors, so we try and keep as much of that original as we can, and then just kind of keeping it as close to what it would have looked like 100 years ago, and so that's an ongoing job all the time.
Here in South Florida, we like most of our stuff shiny and new. New construction is everywhere, but the old Davy School was built to last. It remained a school until 1980. Now, it's a tribute to days gone by.
When we have the kids here, it's really important for me that they see how things have changed and why they've changed too. That's important to the decisions that are made in a community. And so they come here, they learn about how the canals were dug and how did that change the Everglades. How did that affect the animal? And it is a protected building now. We're on the National Register. So there's a great foundation that worked together to have it protected.
We'll be right back. That does it for this week's edition of Miami Life. Remember, we'll see you every Thursday for Miami Life at 6:30 on the stream and 10 p.m. on TV 33. I'm Jim Barry. We'll catch you later.